Welcome, welcome, traders. This is going to be part two. Part one ended because of my storage, so I had to delete some stuff on my phone. But as you can see, it's still the same day. We were on gold. Gold was just running around, right? But then, yes, gold did hit stop loss. And then I also had a position on silver here. Silver also went into like a 1:1 and then reversed. Now, part one ended or stopped when I was talking about how all traders, if you put 1,000 traders in a room, you know, all traders aren't going to trade the same way, but all these traders are profitable. And I was asking you guys questions about that. So, part two is going to begin on something a bit similar. But let's start with the breakdown. Today, I did not stick to my guns. Today, I lost 3%, and I'm not feeling any type of way about it, right? I understand that today what happened was I got greedy. This was a variation of greed. Let's go over the first loss that I took. Number one, market had gapped up, right? When a market gaps, often at times it's gonna come back and close the gap, right? And number two, this did not give me my entry signal. Trade did not present my entry signal and I still took the trade. So if you take a look and analyze that, that's a sign of FOMO, fear of missing out. And if you look into that, that is a form of greed. You got greedy and you got scared that the move was going to occur without you being in it. And so what did you do? You did not follow your plan and you took the trade and the trade lost. Not only did this trade lose, but I also adjusted my stop loss. My initial stop loss was supposed to be here. I'm not sure if you guys can see the numbers, but it's 181. But I adjusted my stop loss from 181 to like 119. So risk to reward was high at first. I lowered my stop loss, and a 181 risk to reward ended up being a 1:19, but the trade still lost. And then because the trade lost, what did I do? I was chilled about it. I waited and I re-entered. But now the position where I re-entered was literally, once again, not according to my trading plan. And that's why this trade over here lost. Yeah. So today, I failed my trading plan. Why? Because I got greedy. Silver was beautiful. Silver was beautiful. I had my charts all mapped out. Market came in, gave me an entry signal. I took the trade. This is something that I've been testing out. So if I held for my usual 1:1, trade would have hit TP. But I wanted to hold for a 1:2 and I got stopped out. So once again, this I'm not really mad at. I'm not even mad at anything, to be honest with you. This one I was a bit disappointed at myself for not following my plan, but I realized that okay, I'm feeling disappointed. Why? So this is what happens when you trade. You need to look at why you are making the decisions that you are making. Once again, all of that is me trying to rush the process, is me trying to speed up the process. Instead of taking a 1:1 and calling it a day, I want to hold for 1:2 because I'm trying to speed up the process. But gichahepe, where am I rushing to? So this is, it's been a very, very good trading day. This is a trade that I was actually going to take. This was a trade that I was actually planning for. And once again, what aligns with me is when I make my plans and execute my plans. Today over here, I did not follow my plan with this trade. I did not follow my plan with this trade. I tried tweaking my plan. I suffered on gold because of not following my plan, and I suffered on silver for not following my plan. And I also suffered on the Nikkei because I did not follow my plan. If I had followed my plan, I would have had that nice 101 trade. This over here is that 102 that I said that I'm actually testing out. So we got a 1:2 that worked on the Nikkei or the Japanese 225, but then did not work on silver. So is that enough to make me be like, okay, I'm gonna stop looking at 1:2s? I don't know, but I believe so, because once again, why am I trying to switch my 101? If you go look at my old videos, I was talking about how 101 is life, and once again, in aligned with me, that's what 101 is. So 102, when it does work, it works great, but once again, me holding for 1:2 is just me being greedy, and so I'm gonna revert back to my 1-to-1. That leads me to my next topic, which comes in 6 minutes and 50 seconds into the next part of real conversations. I'm watching this video over here. I'm sure you've seen it, of this preacher.
It is not the majority, so
And
just you, building your app
let me just skip this ad.
on base 44. Well, I expect unbelievers to do that type of stuff.
And he talks about the skit that, he asks him about the skit, and, he answers him, right? And you can tell that when this man preaches, he is a very passionate man. He is a lion, as he said in the beginning of the video. And the intro for this channel over here, We Need to Talk channel, it talks about how this isn't just a normal channel. It's like there's sermons being given over here, right, throughout these podcasts, right? And I go to the comments, and there's comments that are just really baffling, like really, really baffling. And once again, I understand it, that most people nowadays, they tend to just rush and be like, oh no, this is where you're wrong and this is where you're wrong, but nobody really looks into dissecting, okay, this is where I'm wrong, show me how I can be right then. Oh no, I don't know how you can be right, I just know that you are wrong. And I feel as though we need to put more emphasis on solutions than just always the problems, right? But then again, you got different people for different things. One of the comments that I wouldn't say baffled me, but one of the comments that really stood out was this one here, and it stood out for very intriguing reasons. He says that instead of taking accountability, we would rather be religious and deny the fact that most mega churches are full of pride and are for hire. This is a fact, and clearly Drewski touched a nerve. His skit should have opened up much broader discussion on how these leaders profit while the members live in abject poverty. It's insane. Now, I don't know if this is a rage bait, because that's what people do these days. But what I got from the podcast is that this guy is literally agreeing with what the preacher says, right? But on his comment here, he's saying otherwise. So I find that, baffling. I find that part baffling. He says, and we're just gonna dissect it instead of taking accountability. He did take accountability. He spoke on number one. That's what sinners do. They are. They tend to make everything like into a joke, right? I could be wrong there, right? But he did take accountability and said that, look, there is some truth to what Drewski did, you know, because there are mega churches that actually do that. And he also touches on when Jesus preached, he wasn't preaching to just 5 people. He would preach to thousands of people, 20,000 people, 5,000 people, 3,000 people. And so he distinguished the fact that while there will be, and he even touched on this even before, he says that even in any single job, like there's going to be good cops and there's going to be bad cops, right? It doesn't mean that all cops are bad cops, just as mega churches, there's going to be mega churches that are going to be bad, where people are going to be, taking money for themselves. So I just found this comment rather baffling. He says that Drewski touched the nerve. I feel like people have confused passion